And so, beloved masters, blessings upon you and greetings in this time. For this evening, I wish to give you some understanding, groundwork, foundational issues. We will attempt to cover some things that you will be encountering in the teachings throughout this year. One of the big things that you are going to be encountering in the teachings this year is love. Love with a capital L. Love to a depth that humanity has not dared to go in thousands of years. Another one, and this one is almost as challenging as love, is faith. Very often I refer to it as the big F word, and a lot of people get very shocked by that, but it is truly. The shock value of faith often is even greater than some other things that could be said. So it is. To understand in these times, everything is changing. There are many people who are attempting to hold on to how things have been. There are many people that are waiting for everything to settle down so they can go back. And I assure you, beloved masters, there is no back to go to. A magician remembers the future. And for eons of time, humanity has focused on the past as a reference for where the world was going. And it is now you have stepped through enough portals, and certainly many entities have been made aware again and again of this portal and that one. And every time you have stepped through a portal, every time the earth has moved through a portal, you have broken the connection a little more to separation. In the beginning, before your souls came into physicality, when you were so clear who you truly are, and so loved beyond any measure, you as souls made a decision. You were curious, as children can be curious. And it isn't that it was childish, it was a very big decision. But the curiosity was that of innocence. If I forget that I am a divine creative master, can I still create? And there was a lot of discussion about it. And so many souls decided that it would be a wonderful opportunity to create something totally new, using your divine creative ability to design a construct that would allow you to see what would happen if you forgot who you are. And many souls believed that they would never, ever forget their connection to the divine, because in those beginning times, that connection was so powerful and so sweet. And so there was a great deal of assurance as the game began that there would be no forgetfulness. So here you are, so far away from that beginning, that those times have been relegated to the annals of mythology. And it is that during this year, we will from time to time talk about your myth, and that would be something for you to really consider. What is your mythology? What are you drawn to? Perhaps it's Merlin. Perhaps it's Lemuria. Perhaps it's Atlantis, or the Viking tales, or the Celtic lore. Perhaps you have a feeling in your gut about something that you cannot even remember, and yet you feel something emerging in these times, and it is, beloved masters, that emergence is so powerfully important. You could say that you were given in the beginning a golden thread. And that golden thread would go with you wherever you would go throughout all of your lifetimes. And there would come a time when you would discover that in each hand, in the palm of the hand, in the chakras of the hand, in the chakras of the wrist, an opening would occur, the palma de Cristo. Now this is what the oil of castor has been called for so long, the hand of Christ. But opening in these times in every human being, in the center of the palm and into the wrist, just below the hand, a chakric line that would draw in energy so much more powerfully than you can remember having been able to do this, and would pour out energy so powerfully, much more powerfully than you could imagine, possibly even more than you would care to give. Certainly for many of you, almost more, maybe more, than you would dare to receive. Because the mind has attempted in the construct of separation to determine how much is enough and how much is too much. And then the insanity of attempting to find that line, a very thin line, a bit like going through life walking a tightrope or riding a unicycle, to determine what is good and what is bad. But as these chakras open in the palm, in the wrist, the Christ consciousness is emerging in every being on the planet. The mind wants to make determination about who's really emerging and who really isn't. who's good enough, who is demonstrating Christedness, and who isn't. And I will tell you, beloved masters, another thing that you will hear I say a lot, ain't nothing what it seems. And you will discover as you pay attention in your daily affairs just how true that statement is becoming. Nothing is as it appears to be. The mind said, if you look right, if you sound right, if you have the right credentials, if you wear the appropriate clothing, if you know all the buzzwords, then you must be the right person. But it is, beloved masters, a lot of that is being exposed for what it is or what it is not in Revelation. So the power of the opening, the Christedness that is descending on everyone, how could that be? Only good people are supposed to be Christed, the mind says. And yet, beloved masters, every master on this ball, no matter what their determination, is receiving the downloads from the galactic center, powerful information, encoded light, an opening that remembers you to who you truly are. And so these chakras in the hands that will tingle, that will respond to the energy that you are drawing in, that you are pouring out. And it is no longer, beloved masters, to worry about if there is enough. For the energy that is coming to you is so powerful, and there is so much that enough and not enough are phraseologies that it would be well worth your consideration, beloved masters, to forgive them. For enough is a limit, and not enough is a greater limit. And plenty is unlimited. And this is where the teachings that we will be offering during this year will take you, as you will allow them. They will not take you anywhere unless you, beloved masters, are willing to implement them in your life. Live your spirit every moment of every day. Spirit informing matter. Masters having a human experience. And so the golden thread that you were given in the beginning is now being connected to the golden thread of now, and it forms a circle. And yet this circle of energy becomes, in the essence of these times, a spiral that uplifts you, that opens you to whole new levels of consciousness, greater awareness. The next and very important step get out of your head. For such a long, long time, there has been the belief system that the seat of the soul is in the cranial brain. Beloved masters, the cranial brain is the control booth of the ego, and the ego is a two-headed dragon. And the two heads of the dragon, as you can see looking out into the world in this time, are constantly at war. So the greatest battle, Armageddon, is not really in the Middle East or in Africa or even in the capital of the United States of America. The greatest battle, beloved masters, exists inside of each human being as you are brought to forgive, surrender, let go of how it must be, of how it is, and how it was, and live empty for a time. And the process of living empty, beloved masters, is an initiation of mastery. To be so clear with yourself, so in love with yourself. There's that word. Love yourself. This is not an intellectual concept. This is moving your energy from your mind, from the control booth of the ego that has governed your determinations for so long, and return your energy to the center of your body, in the solar plexus, the seat of the soul, between the heart, which has been considered a love center, and the splenic chakra, which is an amazing power center, even though in more recent times the teachings have been about avoidance of the lower chakras. It is, beloved masters, anything that you attempt to avoid becomes so attached to you that you absolutely cannot get rid of it. So if you attempt to avoid your earthly connections, then you will be progressively, especially in the energies of these times, where the time-space continuum is so unstable, not at all what it once was. So, as you would attempt to avoid something, you may find that everywhere you turn, what you're attempting to avoid is there. If it's a person, a situation, a belief system that you have decided is not good for you, and so you're going to do your best to avoid it, it is, beloved masters, put the energy, visualize it, feel it, put the energy into my violet flame. Put the energy into the white fire of Father, Mother, God. Both of these aspects of transformation, of personal alchemy, exist within you, in the center. So as you begin to focus on your solar plexus, the seat of the soul, you will begin to change your center of reference. And the ego will attempt to falsify itself as God. And you will feel in your solar plexus tension, confusion, fear, doubt, conflict. The ego wants you to believe that God would bring that. Anytime, masters, there is confusion, it is ego. God does not, never has, and never will operate in confusion. So when you are confused, you are consulting with your ego. Moving your energy reference to the center of your being begins to allow you to connect to a vast ocean of love that has always existed, has always been there. You have always had the ability to go there. Some of you may, in this life, or others, have touched that remembrance ever so briefly. And then perhaps the ego said, that's a dangerous place. That could swallow you up. It could take you away. It could cause you to be so vulnerable that you could lose your power. And that is how the ego has prevented, in the construct that you have played for so long, it's how the ego has prevented you from opening yourself up to the remembering, I am that I am. About 80 years ago or so, I consulted for a time with a master who came to be known as Godfrey Ray King. And he brought forth in those times information that was shared with him and others, information that he was allowed to give about spiritual understanding. As a man of those times, his interpretations, which were what were brought forth in the books, the I Am Discourses, the Magic Presence, the Unveiled Mysteries, his recording, his perspective, was very much oriented toward what those times were about. So even though the teachings were spiritual teachings, there was a certain tone that was put forth in those times that was very popular in those times, that only certain people deserved to be spiritual. Only certain people deserved to have the information that I will now share with everyone. The reason that we as masters did not openly go about and share the information was because, beloved masters, in our understanding, timing is absolutely everything. And in the Green Books, I gave information about what I called a far distant future. And by the end of the 1960s, that far distant future had passed. And the information was set in place. Almost 2,500 years ago, the Master Jesus gave information, magnificent, masterful teachings that he gave in the form of parables to the people of the land. Wonderful teachings. This is how you live life. And he understood as he offered those teachings that it would be at least 2,000 years before people would begin to comprehend what he was really saying and what he was really sharing. And so it is in these times of revelation. Everything that has been given that is truth is true. Yet how the mind has interpreted by its experience, by its belief systems, by its fears and doubts and limitations, by its neediness and desire to do the right thing. The mind has chosen to interpret true teachings, oftentimes in colors that were not altogether true. So as we share these masterful teachings with you, do know that in the energy of these times where karma is immediate, so what you think, what you choose to do, has an immediate response. And it is, beloved masters, that you are a divine creative master. Every choice, every single choice, there are no options. Every choice that you make moves your life in one direction or another. You could say that every time you are confronted with a choice, which may be 1,000 times a day, and I will use this as a reference point, we will say there are 50 different possibilities for the choice that you will make and the outcome that you will call. So, whatever choice you make will move your life in a certain direction. Whatever choice you make will set your path a little bit one way or the other along the way. And it is that as you make your choices, you begin to feel more and more in the energy of these times the pleasure, the joy, the at-one-ment, the inclusion, the belonging that the choices of love will bring. Or you might make choices that will cause you to feel excluded, lonely, and believe that those choices were absolutely necessary, and you may believe that you had no choice. And yet, beloved masters, To believe you have no choice is a choice.